They make 3 changes to the starting 11 that played against Vietnam. By Haki Kaizan comes in for captain Hairi Iskandar. Well, he's not too much of a inexperienced defender and a replacement because he partnered Hairi at the last ASEAN Football Championships. Hafiz Osman, though, is a wide-eyed young player who comes in place of S. Supramani at right full-back. He'll be playing in his debut in the ASEAN Football Championships. And you just saw a shot of Indra Shadan, who takes the place of Khairul Amri up front against Noh Alam Shah. It's a deadly duo for Radko Avramovic, the 2 strikers who plundered in the most goals for the national side since the turn of the century, with Indra and his off-the-ball running really a feature since he came on against Vietnam, and something that the national team missed since he cried out in pain when he crumbled by himself in the middle of this national stadium pitch against Malaysia in the Causeway Cup somewhere in the middle of last year. Well, he's back, and so is the ASEAN Football Championships, a tournament that he loves truly. It's been well documented, their goal-scoring woes. It happened in the King's Cup. Radi Abramovic has been talking about how wasteful his strikers have been, and the strikers of the team have said, don't worry, when it rains, it'll finally pour. Well, how true will that be? You usually have about a few big teams. Lula Tint is the referee from Myanmar. You have those big teams and you have the minnows in every group. The Philippines are the minnows of Group 1, as they've proven to be the whipping boys. Laos are the team here that most sides will try to whip as many goals as possible against them. The Lions trying to start off in the briskest of pace possible. Indra Shadan nicely playing the ball to Muhammad Ridhuan. The first touch in ASEAN Football Championships for Hafiz Osman is to bring it all the way back to Haki Kaizan, and that's his first touch of this year's football tournament. Precious Emre Jarai all the way to Daniel Bennett. Lots of those long balls played forward against Vietnam. To no effects though, but with Indra Shadan in the team, it's a whole different proposition altogether. Commits the foul very early on. Indra on Heban Wanglat. And the number 17, Sompon Satongyot, 23 years old, and he is a veteran in the team. Yes, you heard me right. The 23-year-old veteran. 16 of these 21 players registered by Laos are under the age of 20. How young is that for a squad? By Haki is not too old himself, and at the last tournament he really shone playing alongside Hairi Iskandar. Lost his place to Precious Emre Jarai and was drafted into national service early at the start of the year, which really hampered his progress slightly. It's just getting back into the swing of things now, both for his club side, the Young Lions, and for the national team too. Great to see him back. Foul throw by Daniel Bennett, claims the assistant referee. The 8,000 strong crowd not too happy with it. I'm sure Abramovic will not be too happy seeing that as well. It's an elementary error, which they really have to put out a cutoff. Laotians will try to contain the Lions in midfield as much as possible. That was Sunkalai Chesong Pham who had to tackle Shahril Ishak, who was impressive in spurts in their first match against Vietnam. And really, if they get him on the ball more often, he can really kill those passes. The Lions have started with a 4-4-2 formation as Indra Shadan draws a free kick. And that's what Indra does for the team. Just goes out wide, comes up short, just draws the defenders away with him, and just makes much more space up front for Noh Alam Shah. Goalkeeper is Sengpachan Buntisan, 20 years old. He was very impressive against Indonesia, but looked tired in the second half as the goals started flowing in for the Indonesians, who by the way drew 1-1 with Vietnam earlier. The free kick floated in, it's easy for the goalkeeper. To the far post, that free kick came from Shu Jiayi, and it's no problem. How much of the Lions' pressure can Laos weather? So Kallang, not the best of passes. Shahril Ishak picks things up in the middle of the pitch. He likes playing in that central midfield position. He's deployed on the left. They've started out in a 4-4-2 formation, as I said earlier on, which is rather surprising as Radi Abramovic is looking for goals. You'd think that he might deploy a 4-3-3 formation, playing Shahril in midfield ahead of one of his 2 defensive midfielders in Jiayi or Mustafiz Farudin, sacrificing one of them and playing Khairul Amri down the flanks. Touch on was very impressive and confident Montelium Vise. Daniel Bennett tried to keep the ball in play, but it goes out for a throw into Laos. Laotians are the only team in this group to have a homegrown coach, as we have a look at a Serbian-born naturalized Singaporean, Mustafic Farudin. He's on a yellow card, and I think that he would have been rested for this game. They decided not to. Not the best of touches by Sompon Satongyot. Safety first approach. Didn't want to pass it back to his goalkeeper and put him in any sort of trouble. Manmanivong, Sami Manmanivong, 21 years old. The goalkeeper is 20, Buntisan. Back for a throw. It's the die-hard Lions fans seated just in front of the VIP stands. Try to G the team up with as much support as possible. That's a foul. Daniel Bennett, very clever on his part, just flicking the ball, waiting for the cross to come in, and was entangled. And no questions about it. A little tuck back on his right foot by Sisompon. Sitiai with a free kick. This time it's well defended by Yambise. The Lions though still have possession of the ball. Daniel Bennett, the cross is in a very good one, easily cut out by Yambise. And here they come, the Laotians. But there's too many Singaporeans converging on them. Noh Alam Shah will chase for this. He thought that Ridhuan was there to read the ball, but he wasn't. Can he keep the ball in play? Well, yes he can. He's done well so far, Noh Alam Shah. Then it breaks to Namtibikse. And here they come. Keson Sotalong. Foul called on Luang Lat, Pevang Luang Lat. He is the oldest player on the pitch for Laos at 24. Indra Shadan yet again spreading things wide, cutting one way and then the next. He's done well to cut inside the defender and win a corner for Singapore. They've been very disappointing in their dead ball delivery so far, as Suksami Manmanivong has just a little lunge at Indra to concede the corner. Indra started this match very, very brightly. He's usually deadly at delivering these corner kicks. They've gone low once again to Daniel Bennett, who loves a little shot at goal, easily blocked though, and that's a poor touch by Daniel Bennett, losing out to the captain Vise Papuvanin. He's been around for quite some time already, despite the tender age of 22. He'll turn 22 this year, Vise Papuvanin. He's been around, this is his second ASEAN Football Championships. Still holding possession, Suntalai, pass though. Right through into the arms of Lionel Lewis. There we have it. Suntalai Jisong Ham, player who scored the first goal of Group B when he scored in the first half against Indonesia. They soaked and struck, but this ran out of gas in the second half. Fortuitous pass by Shahril Ishak, picked up by Tiai, who will be swapping places with Shahril. That's a nice little ball played inside by Tiai. It's a little too hard for Indra Shadan, who tried to take it in his path and in his stride, but failed to do so. Big night for Indra, made captain with the coach dropping ID Iskandar, not wanting to risk the experienced sweeper. Having seen him limped off against Vietnam in the first match. In fact, he was very lucky. He was caught in possession and conceded a goal, which the referee thought otherwise. Found their way through to Suntalai, all the way out now, as Laos try to take control and put their foot on the ball. Tao Kutsaya, Suntalai, Keson decides to go back to Sanakonbing. Seems squealing for the ball. Abramovich asked for a quick tempo start, which the Lions have tried to deliver, but so far nothing to show for. And he does get a little agitated at times, Radko Abramovich, but a man who wears his heart on his sleeves, that's for sure. Cut out easily. Shutiai takes control of the ball. Hafiz. Interesting cross. Noh Alam Shah tried to head it into the path of Indra Shadan. A little and large combination. They're trying to link things up there. Definitely going to make use of Alam Shah's aerial prowess today. The Laotians don't match up to him by hockey or precious size-wise. Might make up for some nifty footwork. As Being plays it all the way back to Kamatai. It's been taken away by stopping from Keban. They start all over again, going out to Chandlapa. This is good play as they go to Keban. Trying to just trot the ball forward and clip it into space for the run of Visay Papuvanin. There we go, Keban Wanglat. As I said earlier on, the oldest player on the pitch for Laos at 24. Compare that to Singapore's oldest, Daniel Bennett, who turned 29 last week. Precious to Jiayi. Still to Jiayi, and once again the run made by Indra Sharan, so impressive. The first 10 minutes have gone by. The Lions haven't put a dent into the Laotian goal just yet. The goalkeeper spilled it. Muhammad Ridhuan with an opportunity. It's 1-0. They needed a goal inside the first 10 minutes just to break that scoring duck, just to tell everyone that it's all right. We're scoring goals again, and they have done just that. Singh Pachan will have to take the bulk of the blame for that. He came for the ball unconvincingly. He didn't gather it, and Muhammad Ridhuan was much ridiculed in the second half, attacking this side of the goal against Vietnam. Well, he usually starts matches off impressively, especially with his pace. There we go. Poor goalkeeping, you have to say. No foul at all by Muhammad Ridhuan. The Laotians were looking to the assistant referee for a flag. Indra Sharan's run made it all happen as he created an all-new avenue. And the goalkeeper flapped right in front of Ridhuan, who coolly just took it aside. Just a little slammer right there would not have resulted in a goal. He just took it aside, spun, swivel, 1-0. Singapore in the lead. Remember, if matches all turn into draws in this match, in this group, we'll go by goal difference. Indonesia scored 3 and conceded 1 against Laos. The Lions are now 2-0 up. No offside. Noh Alam Shah playing with a slight injury. And that's his infamous goal-scoring celebration routine that we saw so much of in the last ASEAN Football Championships, especially against Myanmar, where you were scoring goals for fun. Noh Alam Shah, 2 goals in as many minutes, and they're now 2-0 up. Mustafid Farudin. And I did say that they're trying to make use of Alam Shah's aerial prowess against a very small Laotian team. They certainly did then. Really poor defending. They didn't keep a disciplined line. It was the number 13 that kept him onside, Keson Sukalong. Sukabong is playing at left full back, and he kept Noh Alam Shah onside. Just a little nod past the goalkeeper, Singh Pachan. This time he didn't have any opportunities. So a nightmarish start from Laos, 2-0 down after 11 minutes. Ridhuan scoring the first, and before we could even breathe a little bit and talk about his goal, and the mistake made by the goalkeeper, Noh Alam Shah produced the second for Singapore. Here is Ridhuan yet again, taking his defender on for a run. Well covered this time by Namtavicte. Brings it out to Sukalong. Sukabong playing it to number 12, Wanglat. Wanglat, Keban. That's the Laotian coach, I said, the only team in Group B to have a homegrown coach. Sotong Sipasai. Even he admits that they're building a squad to perform very well at the 2009 SEA Games. The SEA Games, by the way, an under-23 tournament. So a couple of these players below the ages of 20, 16 of the 21 registered are below the ages of 20. They would have matured, and if they stay together, they would have built a strong side for the 2009 SEA Games. The reason for that is because Laos will be hosting it in 2009, something that the whole of Southeast Asia is looking forward to. It took some time for them to come out of their shell, come back into the game's fold, especially the soccer fraternity. It's great to see them back again, and it'll be wonderful for them to actually to host the games and do well there. The best finish, by the way, in a Southeast Asian tournament by a Laotian football team is 4th, the 1967 SEA Games. They scored against Indonesia. What can they do against Singapore? Paivan trying to play a little 1-2 with his captain Visai Papavanin. Stoppage Farudin. His foot under the ball, right through it. Daniel Bennett read that one brilliantly. Spot Nazman Manibong. Lovely cross by Daniel Bennett. Off the crossbar by Noh Alam Shah. And once again, it's the aerial ability of Singapore's number 8. He went for full-blooded header, and to be fair to him, it was slightly in front of him. Great cross by Daniel Bennett on the run. Nothing the goalkeeper could do with that. If he had just gone for the little looper, it might have been 3-0. They were hoping for an early goal in the first 10 minutes, the Lions, just to settle their nerves a little bit. Well, they've got a bonus. It's 2-0 by Haki Kaizan, trying to get things into rhythm, the offensive third, and to continue the trend which the Lions have built. Easily played out by Senokong Dieng. Seitong Yot. Precious just laying off. It's a lovely effort at goal. And Lionel Lewis isn't too happy with the central defense for allowing the time and space for Dao Kotsaya, attacking midfielder who does join up Visai Papavanin whenever he had the opportunity to do so in the first match against Indonesia. And he almost did it to some effect then against Lionel Lewis. Caught the goalkeeper offline. Tried to go for that little dink. Lionel is the only goalkeeper not to concede a goal in this tournament. I can safely say that now, because in an earlier match, Vietnam against Indonesia, Indonesia scored a last-minute equalizer to dent Vietnam's clean sheet record. The Indonesian goal, by the way, was, if I'm not mistaken, scored by Saktyawan Sinaga. Cancelled out, an own goal by his right fullback Supardi. So in truth, you can say that Vietnam haven't scored their own goal in this competition yet. Ridhuan some space and some support behind by Hafiz. Cross comes in easily dealt with. It's not enough elevation on that to trouble the Laotian defense. Precious plays it simple. Mustafij Farudin. So look for the run of Indra Sharan, who loves to peel away from the defense, create space. He's done so already to a tremendous amount of effectiveness. He crossed on for Ridhuan to score the first goal. Here is Mustafij Farudin. Noh Alam Shah got the better of his defender. It's a very weak finish though, after doing so well against Kamchai and Naptivikchai. Sheer physical powers to brush aside the diminutive tigerish figure of Kamchai. Not the sort of finish you'll associate with a regular 10-goal, close to 20-goal a season goal scorer for Tampines Rovers in the S League. Daniel Bennett with the opportunity to shoot. He's drilled right at the defence. And they've done well enough, Satong Yot Sisokong, to get away from his marker. That was Daniel Bennett, and start something up with Pevan Luanglat. The side now with Sukabong Keson. Interesting play by Laos. Well, it's trouble if you don't look and pass, expecting a run to be made by a teammate. The Laotian coach, it's a nightmarish start for Seitong Sipasai. As I said earlier on, we're building something special for the 2009 SEA Games. This, by the way, is the 5th time in a row that Singapore have met Laos at the ASEAN Football Championships. In the last 4 meetings, they've scored 15 goals. You add the 2 that they've already gotten, it's 17 goals. In the last 4 quarter meeting between Singapore and Laos in the ASEAN Football Championships. It was 6-2 about a couple of years ago in Vietnam when they were hosting the group stages. Singapore beat Laos in 2002. Singapore won by 2-1. The year 2000, They won by 3-0, and in 1998, Singapore won by 4-1. Laotians will be sick of seeing the Singaporeans. They haven't met much though at the SEA Games. They did meet in 1995, when it wasn't an under-23 tournament yet at that time, and Singapore ended up drawing with Laos 0-0. Shahril Ishak latching onto a pass by Mustafid Farudin, who played it into his path brilliantly. Here's Shahril, some skills he has on the ground. Not the best of first touches by Jiayi. He won't be too happy with that. Daniel Bennett, who's been anticipating, doing a wonderful job of cleaning up. Cuts inside, gets ready for the cross. Tackle goal in the end by Sotongyeot Sisompon. Throw into Singapore. It's been Singapore all the way as we expect, playing on home ground, urged on by the 8,000 strong support. The Laotians a little fatigued after all their efforts in that first game against Indonesia. Dao Patsoya. Haiban to his captain, Visai Papanen. Nice little spin away from Precious, who can be caught for pace. Papanen takes a shot. Lionel Lewis, once again, is not happy with Precious Imujaraye for allowing his opponent too much space on the ball and not closing down fast enough. They stood off him, invited the shot to come, and Papanen says, okay, why not? Let's take one. And look at his reaction, Lionel Lewis. Well, all goalkeepers will tell you that they preserve clean sheets. They'll tell their grandchildren about it. This will be a stat that Lionel Lewis would love to keep. As I said earlier, he's the only keeper not to have conceded a goal in the ASEAN Football Championships yet. He was voted the most valuable player the last ASEAN Championships too, with some sterling displays, especially in the group stages against Vietnam and Indonesia, I remember. And a man of the match performance against the Indonesians in the final too. Haki Kaizan following through his challenge on Visai Papanen. 22 years old, been around for some time. In fact, he led the Laotian team in the last SEA Games. Oh, lovely turn. Visai trying to get past by Haki, who was watching the ball all the way instead of the body movement of Visai. Good work by Haki Kaizan. Here is Shahril Ishak. Needs some space and a teammate to pass to, and finally has to go backwards. He wasn't too happy with the off-the-ball running by his two frontmen. As the first two made it be known to by Haki Kaizan to Hafiz Osman. It's been a solid, if unspectacular, debut so far for him. Shutiai getting the ball from Indra Shadan. That little pass through for Muhammad Ridhuan. He's caught the scorer of the first goal in an offside position, a position which he should have never found himself in the first place. He had all the opportunity and time in the world to look across the line, wait, and he couldn't wait any longer. To need this easy decision for the assistant referee to make. Having said that, it looked as if he might have been in line with Sisompon Safongyeot, the right fullback. Does well to win the ball back. Here is Shutiai, space in front of him, prefers it on his left foot. Maybe should have gone with the earlier option. Shoots with either foot, but clearly lacking in accuracy. He took some hot shots at goal against Vietnam and worked the goalkeeper a little bit. In fact, 90% of Singapore's shots on target in that game, inept encounter, came from the boot of the man who just headed the ball, Shutiai. Daniel Bennett's head and shoulders. He won that one, almost having not to jump as well against a very, very slightly built Sisompon. Here is again. Interesting touch on, and it's a foul conceded by Mustafid Farudin, who does come in very, very hard. Being the hard man for Tampines Rovers for the past 4 years already in the SD, and certainly showed Sukalai Chisongkamp what he was made of then. As the captain, Visai Papanen. Reduced to isolation up front. It happened against the Indonesians. It will happen today, yet again. Noh Alam Shah. The Laotian wingbacks have just gone missing whenever the Laotians need to defend. They just congested themselves too much in the middle of the pitch. but they've forgotten how to defend down the flanks. They've lost the ball in the middle of the pitch. They're not too happy with it. Once again, the movement was all congested in the middle. Ridhuan, cross, Zutiai, easy goal for Noh Alam Shah. That's his second, and that's 3-0 to Singapore after 24 minutes. First, to give credit to the Chinese-born Zutiai, Singapore-born and bred Noh Alam Shah, with yet another goal for the national side. Mohammad Ridhuan, scorer of the first goal, creator of the third, did the right thing. Zutiai, very intelligent play, just headed it across goal. There's nothing goalkeeper or defender could do. Put your foot to the ball, and the number 5, Man Manipong, would have scored an own goal. Suksami Man Manipong didn't do anything about it. Neither did Singh Pachan, the goalkeeper. Noh Alam Shah, though, did and applied the finishing touches to yet another aerial route to goal for Singapore. Goal scoring problems? What goal scoring problems? It's 3-0. And we still have 20 minutes remaining of the first half. Well, I do feel it's men against boys. And the Laotians, the inexperience, the age gap, the difference in build between the two sides. 1.7 meters, the tallest player, if you compare it with Baihaki Kaizan, who's 1.94. That tells you the full story of it all. Here's Daniel Bennett. Laotians just sitting very deep and allowing the Lions to come at them. Well, when you watch the first game against the Indonesians, we wondered why the Indonesians didn't try it more often, but the way to beat the Laotians is really through the aerial routes to goal. Once your crosses are accurate enough, and once you have enough men in the penalty box waiting for those crosses, you will get past them. They're not the best defending those high balls, and Avramovic and his men have done their homework, known that. Dao Kotsaya. Nice clipped pass for his captain Bisai, who spread the Singapore defense. Decided against the shot first time around, releases it. Shot finally drilled in right against Daniel Bennett, but it is a shot by Piban Loklak. Mohammad Ridhuan trying to find a way through, just couldn't find a teammate to pass to. He did well enough though by Haki Kaizan. Recalled. Well, I'm sure if ID is fit again, it'll be a battle between the two for that role as sweeper of the national side. But at least Radi Abramovic knows he's got a more than capable replacement on the bench waiting to come on. Bennett. Indra has provided all the runs down the flanks. Just to open up the space a little bit. Shahril Ishak to Hafiz Osman. Trouble-free debut for him. Nice ball to Indra, who allowed it to run, thinking that there was support from either Noh Alam Shah or Shahril Ishak behind him, but they were all side by side with him. So the Laotians get the ball now with Sisompon. Sisompon Satong Yotsu. All the way back to Yambise. All the way back to Kamchai on the ball now. Kamchai Namtibikse. This is Pomapanya. Konbieng Pomapanya already on a yellow card. He gets booked tonight, he will be suspended. We're closing on the 28-minute mark. It's been Singapore all the way through. The Laotians just trying their very best to slow the pace of the game down a little bit, catch their breaths for the next onslaught of Singapore attacks. And they have time themselves to move forward. Oh, that's not the best of passes by Daniel Bennett. Good play here by Visay. He had to step in to make the clearance. They still have the ball though, Laos. This is dangerous. Mohammad Ridhuan still can't hold possession of the ball. Silky skills, surely a foul. No, says the referee, decided to play the advantage as Kaesong Sukalong went down. Sekondi. Here is Sunkalai. And Hafiz Osman puts right through the ball. No nonsense. That's what you need at a time when the Laotians were gathering some sort of rhythm and pace. They're about to make a substitution here. The goalkeeper, Sengkachan Buntisan, is 20 years of age. He won't be too happy with this. He was brilliant against Indonesia in the first match. I think all the efforts he put into that game, all the endeavors, just made him somewhat tired and fatigued in this game. He spilled the first one. Couldn't really see the other two going in. He's led in 3. Because of that, Putpasong Sengkalapong comes in. He's a year younger at 19. Well, he'll be turning 19 this year at least. And we'll have more than half a game to try to contain what is a rampaging Lions outfit. They're hungry for goals this evening. Remember, Indonesia put 3 past Laos, all in one half, the second half. Singapore have already put 3 past the Laotians and are looking for more. As I said, in Southeast Asian football, really have 6 teams who could beat each other among themselves, that being Myanmar, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, Vietnam and Indonesia. And you have the whipping boys, which fall into the category that Laos occupy alongside the Philippines, Timor-Leste, Cambodia and Brunei. So whenever you face them, it might go down to goal difference at the end. You try to put as many past them as possible. He's quite a good player, isn't he? Kason. He's got some good skill on him. A little touch on, it's a foul by Precious. Unnecessarily giving the free kick away. He's trying to explain to the referee that he was trying to look at the ball, but Pise was a little too tricky for him, and it's going to be a free kick for the Laotians, who have already had a shot at goal. One on target, saved by Lionel Lewis by the captain, Visai, and another one which just dipped over the crossbar by Dao Kotsaya. What can they work on this? Suntalaya Chesongham, who scored the first goal of the Group B encounters on Saturday against Indonesia, is behind us. So too is Chandalapon. Liam Visai is knocked on to Chandalapon, and his effort is very disappointing. 21-year-old couldn't get anything right at all. Body leaning back, didn't strike into the center of the ball. And sometimes chasing the lead, it's best given a direct free kick just to have that little curler and shot at goal, as Dao Kotsaya showed earlier on, he's capable of. By Haki Kaizan. After the flurry of activities in the first half an hour, the Lions just slowing things down a little bit, and Abramovich is not too happy with it. As I said, they need the goals. They put 6 past the Laotians the last time around 2 years ago in Vietnam. They're playing on home ground now. They've got 3 already. They're playing against the Laotian side, who look leg weary after their exertions against the Indonesians on Saturday. Mustafiz Farudin takes a shot at goal. Almost first piece of action for Pupasong Sengkalapong. But that's not on target, and that's not what he's needed in the team for. Mustafiz to destroy things in midfield more than move forward and take shots at goal. And because of that, you're kind of a bit surprised with Abramovich's game plan here of putting Mustafiz and Sutiai together in midfield. Sutiai is more of a creative force, but they're both known midfield destroyers more than a creative player, the way their left winger is. Shahril Ishak. Handball, called by the referee. Well sponsored by Ula Tint of Myanmar. Called on Manmanivong Suksami. He's got the unenviable task of marking Indra Shadan. Sutiai, who's been taking most of the dead ball situations for Singapore. Ends up with another. Just escaped pressures of the eye. Went for the far post as he did earlier on. You have to say that Singapore's dead ball situations in the ASEAN Football Championships so far have been very disappointing. Laotians just coming off a little ripple that they had against the AFC. They were banned for 6 months actually, having fielded an overage player in an under 13 competition, sanctioned AFC competition. They were under the radar for a little while. They were fined $15,000 US. The fine remains, but the back of the fall of the football business, and they had to go through a qualifying process. There's a new ASEAN Football Championship format. Realize that there are a few matches that teams just put their second stringers against in the last few tournaments, and because of that, the minnows had to qualify in their own 5-team group. It took place in Bacolod City in November in the Philippines, and Laos came out tops of that group. They won 3 and drew one of their matches. They drew against Cambodia, beat the Philippines, Brunei and Timor-Leste to top that group and qualify for this competition. The Philippines finished second. Indra Sharan, that as his second effort in the tournament. He had one against Vietnam, which was saved by the goalkeeper. Good movement though by Indra, coming back from a horrific injury. You just feel that he's slowly getting into the groove of things, making things happen on the pitch. But his movements made all the difference in the squad today. And it's given the space for Noh Alam Shah to show off his predatory instincts. Foul by Mustafik. They usually put up the most innocent of faces, haven't they, whenever that happens. By the way, in the latest FIFA rankings, Laos, maybe due to the results of that tournament and qualifying round, are ranked 151, and that's one place against above the Malaysians. You can read it either way, in a negative way for Malaysian football, or in a very positive way for the Laotians who've come real far. A bunch of ever-changing players and ever-changing faces to the Laotian national side. Good ball by Haki Kaizan, caught for pace from Bisai. Angle was so acute. Lionel Lewis not too happy yet again by Haki and Precious for allowing Bisai Papabanin to get in behind them and run at goal. Lovely ball played through by Paivan. Something that the Laotians who were in the grandstands watching the Singapore-Vietnam game would have noticed in the Singapore backline, that if you play it along the ground and play behind them, they can't be caught. 9 minutes remain in the first 45. Laos losing by 3-0. Noh Alam Shah getting a couple of those goals. He might be at the end of this. The cross comes in. He goes for the near post. No one goes for the far. And Kut Pasong. He had to deal with something, and he didn't look too convincing, did he? 19-year-old. He would claim that it's all okay. Just wants to have a feel of the ball. Okay, I see some fun. He's got all the skills in the world, Kason, but no use. We don't have any support. Noh Alam Shah decides to let the ball run out of play, or treatment to be given to Kason Sukhapong. There you go. Kason Sukhapong. Nippy, skillful player, very delightful to watch, just no support whenever he's in possession of the ball. It's not only him, it's also Suksami Manmanivong, needs a little treatment. Seikong Sipasi. Oh, it's strange, isn't it? In this group, he's the only homegrown coach. The other teams, Indonesia, Vietnam, and Singapore, coached by foreigners. Peter Witt, of course, coach of Indonesia. Radi Abramovic, Serbian-born, coach of Singapore. And Alfred Riedel, Austrian-born, coach of Vietnam. Whereas if you look at the other group, Group A, Philippines, Myanmar, Malaysia, and Thailand are all managed by homegrown coaches. Imperative that Singapore gets a good result here to get out of the group. Whenever they've gone past the group stages in the ASEAN Football Championships, they've gone on to win the tournament. Nice little turn by Suntalai. Suntalai leaves the ball out of play. Lunging challenge by Ridhuan. Being Kenya. Waiting for support. Had to go back yet again to Kamchaya Namkabitai. There's a Sompon. Dao Kotsaya. A little burst of speed to get past Noh Alam Shah. The idea was right, the execution wasn't there. The ball from Daniel Bennett was an interesting one. Well, Indra Sharan, well, there we go. Clear indication where he wanted the ball played, right down the flanks. Loves it there, doesn't he? Just draw the defender out, wait for support, send in that cross. Work to perfection. The 9th minute of play, when the goalkeeper spilled and Mohammad Ridhuan gave Singapore the lead. Noh Alam Shah with a brace, and that's why we're arrived at 3-0. Kason. Nice turn by the captain, Visai. Both him and Kason have looked very neat on the ball, haven't they? Sisompon getting the ball back from Amanipon. Sisompon pass inside easily, cut out by Haki Kazan, and now Indra Sharan has got space to run it. Noh Alam Shah side by side with him. He's offside. He's offside. Good work by the defense, but Noh Alam Shah should have stayed vigilant and waited for Indra to put his foot to the ball. He waited. Indra Sharan knew what he was going to do, faked and pretended to go one way before threading it, and just off. Moved up just in time. The defender, and how important was that? There we go. Just slightly offline. Could argue that he was in line, which would have been fine. But give credit where it's due. Say that it was good defending by Sisompon Satongyot. Mustafic Farudin. Looping ball, looking for Ridhuan. Not the best of passes. Sanakon Ging goes all the way back to Kamchai. Here is Dao Kutsaya. A few spray passes by Visai, the captain. Ridhuan does well. Ridhuan disappointing in the end. That final ball, Hairi Abramovich off his feet. Wasn't too happy with the fact that Mohammad Ridhuan didn't know what to do with that last ball, and sometimes that's the difference between Southeast Asian sides and the big Asian teams, is that decision making in the last third of the pitch. That final pass, the penetrative pass, get the big players who just know what to do, and they'll rather attack the byline, put a low cross in front of the goalkeeper or the strikers to latch onto, and you'll have a player like Mohammad Ridhuan who did everything right then, showed a good turn of speed. There you go. Free kick this time on the player that he burned for pace earlier on, Sinapon Ging from Apanya. He's worked very hard, hasn't he, Mohammad Ridhuan? He's feeling the pace. Said in the match against Vietnam, a big criticism of him is that he needs to add a little bit of steel in his play. Complained that he's a little too lightweight despite all his ability and skill. And also that ability to last for a full 90 minutes. However, when he's on the pitch, he does give the team a lot of options, especially down the right flank. Got into the box very early for the goalkeeper to drop the ball, going to scoop it into the back of the nets, the 9th minute of play. So Talai goes all the way wide to Sisompon. Back, playing a very dangerous game. That's football played forward. Nicely done. This is Kason. Up is Osman. Trouble free. Once again, sometimes when you're making a debut at a place like the National Stadium, something that you dreamed about as a kid, you don't want to make any silly mistakes, and all you do is just pump the long balls. It's better that way, isn't it, sometimes? Kongking goes all the way back to Kamche. Here's Pevan Wanglat. Goes all the way to number 6, Chandalop. Chandalapon. We have to start all over again. Passing was much more slick against Indonesia. Running off the ball is certainly more impressive. They look a very tired bunch tonight, the Laotians against Singapore. Indra Shadan, good work from him. 1-2 play, the pass for Ridhuan. Ridhuan himself looks very tired as well. Won't be surprised if he comes off in the second half, at least somewhere in the second half. He was replaced by Itimi Dickson in the first match against Vietnam. Well, he was onside, wasn't he, when that pass was made? He's getting back into an onside position, and it was very close yet again, that decision which went against him. 2 minutes added on to the first 45. Well, the Singaporeans have dominated, but worrying for Radi Abramovic. That's having scored the third goal, and with 20 minutes remaining of the first half, they just slacked off a little bit and allowed the Laotians to play their football instead of pressing themselves and imposing themselves on the opponents. Lovely ball by Indra Shadan. This is superb play. Noh Alam Shah with a shot. Goalkeeper did superbly well to save it. Kupasong Sengdalavong. His first piece of action and his first real threats are coming from a person looking for his hat-trick, Noh Alam Shah. What a pass by Indra Shadan. Sensing it, great awareness from the Singapore captain. Noh Alam Shah did everything right, went for the power post, drilled it low. Maybe needed slightly more power on it. But the goalkeeper did well to get down to it. Kupasong, it's a corner to Singapore. Something which the Lions haven't done very well. The deliveries from corners have been rather poor in this tournament. The Laotians come forward, and this is Visai. Interesting play by Visai. Not the best play though by Quezon as he lost possession of the ball. Dao, easily cut off by Shu Jiai. A little clip pass looking for Noh Alam Shah, who was in an offside position. Well, he's trying to play himself off the shoulder of the last man off the other side, and he's done very well so far. Noh Alam Shah, his first goal was exactly like that, and they've made use of his aerial ability rather well in this first half, Singapore. Indra Shadan's off the ball running has been a real feature, and the Laotians have looked very tired, so there have been gaps opening in the defense since the start of the game. They've just congested themselves a little too much in the middle of the pitch. They've forgotten about the flanks, and they've allowed Singapore all the time in the world to send in those crosses for the big men in the penalty box. The good thing for Singapore in the first half is that they have finally scored goals. They've gotten enough players in the penalty box to get at the end of useful crosses from their wingers. Another opportunity for a cross to be made. It'll be a throw-in though, as Mustafic Farudin once again has put in his hard work, endeavours and industry into the game. It's half-time, it's 3-0 for Singapore. It started off in the 9th minute with a goal by Muhammad Ridhuan, and then a brace by Noh Alam Shah. Indra Shadan has made all the running. Noh Alam Shah has been given all the scoring chances made by his striking partner, and he's really swallowed them up in brilliant fashion. The Laotians look lost and tired. Singapore look like they're hungry for more in the second 45 minutes. Half-time score here at the National Stadium. Singapore 3, Laos 0.